butterfly, sail across the water. Tell your sons and your daughter what the struggle brings. You know, there are people going through harsher struggles than others, but that does not mean that you don't believe that there is an answer at the end of the tunnel. It could be dark while you're walking down that hallway. It could be dark while you're climbing up that ladder, but the light soon comes thereafter. For many are called, but the chosen are few. Those who are called, you know that God is guiding. You know that God is walking with you. You are not going to be in the dark. And if you are in the dark, it will not be for long. Just hold on. Hold on. You'll soon make it to the end. We are all going through something. There's certain struggles that certain people are going through. You see it in their eyes when you look at them. You see it in their walk. You even hear it in their talk. You pray for those people. You pray for those who need that help, especially when you know you cannot help them. You can sense their feeling. You can sense when you're sitting next to them. I was sitting on the bus, this gentleman, and I mean the stuff that his vibrations, oh my goodness, he was going through so much. All you can do is pray for them, you know? Sometimes when people are depressed, they fall into a deep sleep. They have to sleep because they need to sleep it off. But that does not change the fight. When you wake up, you still have to fight, right? Guys, there are so many different goals and aspirations that you have. Don't forget what it is that you are here to do. You are here to persevere. Remember, even from that first moment that you came out of your mother's womb, there was a plan for you. And although you might have forgotten, you need only ask for guidance. You ask God to direct you so that you don't forget what that goal was. When I was a little girl, I had been separated from my grandparents' house. I was now living with my mother, trying to get to know a woman that I did not know, because this was my first time meeting her. Sure, I saw her with my eyes when I was born, but this was the first time I was supposed to be around her. She had picked me up from my grandmother's house, and now I had been signed up for school. So we went into the school building. She dropped me off, and beforehand she said, I want you to stand in front of the school and wait. Your brother's going to pick you up after school. I said, okay. So after school, my brother wasn't there. The crosswalker said, look, if you don't cross the street now, I'm leaving, and I don't know if you'll be able to cross the street alone. Can you cross the street by yourself? She said, I'm going to walk you across the street. Can you remember how to get home from here? And I shook my head yes, and I walked the rest of the way home. I was so proud of myself that I made it there all by myself. When I got there, I knocked on the door, I rang the bell, my mother opened the door. She looked around, she said, where's your brother? I shrugged my shoulders, I don't know. So she was getting ready for something, but something within her made her ask the question, wait a minute, how did you get here? And I said, I walked here. She said, you didn't wait for your brother? No. I got a bad spanking behind that one. I mean, it was horrible. I promised that I would not do it again because I was so scared. I didn't want to get hurt like that. You know, I didn't want to feel that pain again. But again, I was new to the school, new to the neighborhood. I understand why she was in fear. But at the same time, I was waiting. It was getting dark outside, and I was waiting for him. So the next day was raining really hard. So my mother put on my raincoat. I had a raincoat, a rain hat, and rain boots, all yellow. I think my grandmother had given them to me. They were supposed to be passed down from my older sister who lived with my grandmother. So I put them on, you know, and she walked me to school. She said, remember, do not walk home by yourself. Wait for your brother. He's going to come get you. And I said, okay. And then she let go of my hand, and I went into this classroom, and the teacher helped me take my raincoat and everything off. Well, the days skipped by very fast. And as the day came to a closing, I waited outside that gate. And I waited and I waited. My brother didn't come, and the rain kept coming down. It was coming down stronger and stronger. And the crossing guard said, "You sure you don't want me to cross the street?" I said, "No." And I said no, feeling that pain that I felt the day before from defying my mother and going alone. So I waited. So I waited and I waited, and I got cold, and it got colder. This is New York City, Bronx, you know? And was going to school PS9, 115 at the time. So I covered myself up with my hat and my coat, and I took my boots and I scrunched them under my head, and I squeezed everything close to me so that no rain would get on me. And I fell asleep in that position. So I didn't get home, and it was 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. My mother looked and she said to my brother, where's your sister? Oh, I forgot. So what do you mean you forgot? So where is she? I don't know. So my mother went looking for me. She went to the school. She went around the school. She went behind the school. She had to call the police. And they said, "Ma'am, it's not 24 hours. If it's not 24 hours, I don't know. We'll send somebody over there, but usually within 24 hours is when you're supposed to report it." I said, "But she's a little girl. She's so small. She's so little. I don't know." The officer said, "I don't know what to tell you, ma'am, but right now, why don't you just give it a couple hours and call us back? I'm sure she'll be home by then." So she called my father. She couldn't find him for a long time. So finally she found him, and he came and he said, "Look, we could drive back around there." And they drove back around there, and they could not find me. So they went back to the house. My mother said she was crying at that point. She was crying, and she could not figure it out. So she went back to the school. This time she walked a little slower. She walked around the entire school until she got to where the crossing guard was, usually stands. When she got to where the crossing guard usually stands, she looked down and she saw my coat. And she said, "Oh my goodness."